Hello, and welcome to Rock the Cash Bar. I'm Ben Mowbray.
And I'm Dianne Gallagher.
Every week, we pick one song and do a deep dive into the lyrics and explore the different ways they've been interpreted.
We will also discuss how the song connected to us on a personal level, focusing on all the embarrassing details.
Glad to have you here. Now enjoy the show. Hello. Welcome to episode 6 of Rock the Cash Bar. How are you, Dianne?
Oh, I'm good. I'm drinking a nice, refreshing water beer.
It's the right thing to do. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. It's definitely time for a beer. How are you holding up out there?
It's pretty good. We have now released my son to go visit Grandpa, meaning stay over there for about 5 hours at a time. So we get a break, and it has made all the difference in my sanity.
You get some relief. You've got makeup on today. You are all gone.
Like, who am I? I don't know who this is.
Looking good. You're a star. Welcome to the podcast. Podcasts are everywhere. They are proliferating all across the United States. I woke up in the middle of the night, went into my bathroom, turned on the light, and thousands of podcasts scattered under the sink and into the shower. Absolutely. The world is full of them now. Like everybody has a podcast now. Every single person I know is doing one. It's
to be fair, we had this idea before quarantine.
That is true. It's absolutely true. It's amazing to have this like insane need to communicate and yet nothing to say. Like it's incredible.
Well, do you want to do our dressed up like a douche segment first? Get that out of the way?
I sure do. Somebody sent me a classic dressed up like a douche.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to do yours or should we do mine?
I'll do it. Yeah, well, we can do them both. There's no reason we can't do them both.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Mine's just really quick. It's, might as well face it, you're a dick in a glove. There's no way anybody ever actually believed it, but that's a great one.
Who sent you that? Do they want their name?
No, they want to be kept off the record.
Okay, from Anonymous, dick in a glove. All right, mine comes from my best friend, Michelle Soto. I forgot she told this to me like 6 weeks ago. She said the first time she listened to Old Town Road by Lil Nas X, she thought he said, "Gonna take my horse to the hotel room. Gonna ride like I can't no more." She said before she figured it out, she thought she was listening to a song about a dude banging a horse, and she was like, ugh, kids these days.
I want to ride a horse into a hotel lobby so badly now. God, it's the greatest thing in the world. Do you need help with your bag, sir? No, the horse has it. Thank you.
All right, Ben, what are we doing today? What is our song of the week?
Man, today is a very special episode. We are not doing one song. We're doing multiple songs. This is going to come across. We're not really doing a song so much as we're doing a character. Today's episode is going to be about Major Tom.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. I love this song because it's so simple. I can't play guitar. I'm up to 6 chords now. I know how to play 6 chords, and I can't really combine them or put them together or anything like that. When I listen to the opening of Space Oddity, it certainly sounds like something that might be within my grasp. You know, right. If I spent like a week or two on it, I might actually be able to learn how to do it. It sort of reminds me of the old line about the Velvet Underground. They're just like, originally only a few thousand people bought those albums, but every single person that did ended up starting a band.
Ended up what? Say that again?
Every person that bought those Velvet Underground albums in the late 60s, early 70s ended up going on starting a band because the music was simple. Like it just sounds like you can do it. But right. That's what makes for great songwriting is the simplicity, right?
Right. That guitar riff, we'll get to that in the middle of the song. I sent it to, just my husband and my father-in-law who play guitar. And I'm like, oh, this is a simple little riff. Can you play this and record it? And everybody was like, no, that's not simple.
There's nothing simple about that. There's nothing like the big riff in the middle looks really, really complex. Like, I think those are bar chords. I don't know. Not a musician, but watching, yeah. I was watching like YouTube learn to play guitar videos on Space Oddity. I was like, that one's going to be beyond me. I
Yeah.
can do those first two chords. That I can handle. Everything else is well beyond my ken. I
All
love
right.
Space Oddity. I've loved it for a long, long time. It came out in 1969. David
Yes.
Bowie, 22 years old. Incredible to think of that at 22, you can do something that lingers in people's minds 50 years later.
Yeah, that makes me mad. I mean, I'm very happy for these prodigies, but when I think about what I was doing at 22, it just angers me.
Shall we get into the lyrics? You want to get into this thing?
Do you want to give a brief history real quick? Just not a lot. I just want to mention that this came out and the song was released July 11th, 1969, just over a week before Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin stepped onto the foot of the moon. And a lot of people thought Bowie was inspired to do this song because of the moon landing, but it's not. It was because he watched Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey high out of his gourd, and he loved it.
And that's what this song is.
Yeah.
They used to say that that people they don't buy stereos to play their albums. They buy albums to play their stereos, right? You get the big rig, the big speaker stacks, and everything like that. You need an album with like the big sound to fill it and really shake the walls for you. This song is specifically to help you play your drugs, isn't it? That's what it's for. Like all the bells and whistles, the weird wide open spaces in the songs, the circularness of it. Like it's absolutely made for you to be high on whatever drug you like.
With that in mind, yeah, let's go through the lyrics.
We did the first one. It's take your protein pills and put your helmet on, which is, I mean, clearly that's a drug reference right there, right?
Right.
Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Get into your spacesuit. And it's ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. Lift off.
Lift off.
Yeah. And that's like when the drugs really begin to take hold.
Yeah.
And it says, this is ground control to Major Tom. We've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. So obviously Major Tom is a very famous guy. You know, he's big in the media. He's a hero for sure. He says, now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. So he's about to step out of the spaceship and do a spacewalk.
Yep. Real quick, I know you know this, but if the listeners don't know, when it says whose shirt you wear, that's an English slang for what football, well, to them, soccer team are you a fan of? The thinking here being that if you can make it into space, your opinions on football matter.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that phrase. Like when I was kind of looking over these lyrics, the papers want to know whose shirts you wear reminded me of the line in Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones, where a man comes on the TV and tells me how white my shirts can be, but he can't be a man who doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me. I kind of thought that this was David Bowie sort of clapping at Mick a little bit, like fashionable David Bowie giving it to that ragamuffin Mick Jagger. Like, and whose shirts do you wear, Mick?
Okay.
But then it goes on to say, this is the first lines that Major Tom speaks in the song. He says, this is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way. And the stars look very different today. For here I am sitting in a tin can far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Which is a weirdly bleak thing to say.
Yeah, this isn't what you want to hear. Like, all right, what's it like? You're up there, let us know. And it's very like, okay.
That's a really strange thing for the first man to see planet Earth in full to say. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do, right? Then he goes on to say, though I'm past 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very still. And of course, everybody who lives in Houston, Texas knows that 100,000 miles is about halfway to the moon. The moon is 238,000 miles away. So he's only halfway there. And he says, and I think my spaceship knows which way to go. And then he says, tell my wife I love her very much. And then a disembodied voice says she knows.
Is this where we're starting to feel a little dread?
Oh, like, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Things aren't going very well. He doesn't have he's not feeling great about this right now.
Yeah, nobody says tell my wife I love her or tell my mother I love her very much unless something horrible is about to happen to him. Then ground control starts to panic. It's ground control to Major Tom. Your circuit's dead. There's something wrong. And then the real panic sets in. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you? And then this is the last broadcast from Major Tom. He says, here I am floating around my tin can far above the moon. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. So just within the text of this song, Space Oddity, just within this version of the story, is there anything to indicate that Major Tom sabotaged his own mission?
I never thought of that.
I don't see anything.
Yeah,
I don't see anything in the lyrics to Space Oddity. Like obviously this is a space tragedy, but I don't think there's anything in the literal text that says that Major Tom disconnected himself from his capsule, or that Major Tom deliberately sent himself spinning off into the void.
Yeah, I never felt like this was a suicide mission in his head.
Me either. I always thought the song Space Oddity, I always thought this was a space accident. Like I thought it was high David Bowie, imagining sort of like a romantic way to die, or an adventurous way to die.
And also the obvious parallel of a drug trip gone bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's what the song is for sure. It's just that you just got too high and you can never come down.
Yeah.
I think it's great that the man who fell to Earth, his first really big hit song is a song about the first man in space. It ended up defining David Bowie, but you can almost picture like Ziggy Stardust high-fiving Major Tom as like leaving the Earth and the others coming down. It's like,
in passing.
Yep, I'll take it from here. Ziggy Stardust has got this, Major Tom.
Okay, I have to ask you, have you watched 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Yes,
I never have, and I kept wanting to do it before we did this episode, but having a 5-year-old and time not really on my side somehow during quarantine, I didn't get to watch it. So can you give me a brief gist of it?
Well, it opens with the real famous scene of prehistoric man, kind of caveman, sort of being around there fighting over a bone, like a great big femur bone. And then it gets thrown into the air, and it sort of spins, and the image dissolves into a spaceship. So it's actually very good. And it's difficult to describe. I'm
just trying to find the connection Bowie had to the song. Does it relate at all, or is it just kind of a jumping off point?
It's just a very frightening space trip. Like the astronaut in 2001: A Space Odyssey goes up in his ship, and the computer ends up taking over. Basically taking over the flight and trapping the guy inside.
Okay.
So it's very much like a Lost in Space thing.
Okay.
Very similar to Space Oddity. I don't know. I like watching all those old NASA videos. It's kind of amazing to me to think that there isn't a human being spinning in space right now. Like of all the men and women and scientists who have been up there, not a single life has been lost in space. Like they've been lost on the ground in re-entry and shuttle explosions, but there isn't a human form spinning lifelessly in the void.
Well, thanks for that, Jinx, but all right, let's keep that thought going.
I know. I'm sorry to do that to you. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make just about, and there's other songs that we're going to deal with, is that in Space Odyssey, there really doesn't seem to be anything to indicate that Major Tom was suicidal or on some eternal spirit quest or anything like that. It is just like you sound. It seems like a drug allegory or a drug metaphor to me.
Right.
But then, like, it's also wide open. Like, it's such an interesting character and such an interesting song. You can see why other people wanted to put their take on it. It seems like there's a lot of emotional shadings that kind of go into it. And there are two songs that I want to talk about that I think that add to it. And the first one is obviously Major Tom by Peter Schilling, which is explicitly about Major Tom. It's a retelling of David Bowie's story in Space Oddity, but it's a little bit more specific. Like I think
it's the re-entry, and he dies on re-entry, we think, in this one. It's the sequel, but yet he still dies.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so the lyrics to, well, first of all, let's start with Major Tom. Fight, weiter. I heard the German version of it. I've been doing that for the last 3 days. So the lyrics for Major Tom are, standing there alone, the ship is waiting, all systems are go. Are you sure? Control is not convinced, but the computer has the evidence. No need to abort. The countdown starts. Yep. Watching in a trance, the crew is certain. Nothing left to chance. All is working. Trying to relax up in the capsule. Send me up a drink. Jokes Major Tom. The count goes on. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Earth below us, drifting, falling. Floating waves, calling home. So this song gets Dianne on the dance floor at Numbers. Oh, sorry, I was just talking over you. Say that again.
No, go ahead. The dance floor at Numbers?
Yeah, this is just one of those songs where like whatever song was playing, I wasn't into it. I went to the bar to get a drink. He gives me a very, very, very strong vodka tonic. And then this song comes on and I'm like, I either have to just commit to dancing on the dance floor with a full drink or I slam it and I hit the dance floor because I love dancing to this song.
Because it really does feel like it's exactly what it describes. Like it does feel like you're floating weightless. It definitely feels like you're far above the moon, especially when it goes into that chorus. Like
I can't dance to that chorus without both arms in the air and spinning.
Yeah. There's so much tension in the verses of the song, as things start to go wrong for, like, obviously you're sitting on a gigantic pile of rocket fuel. It's a pretty tense moment. But then when it gets to the chorus, it's floating, weightless, everything's dreamy. It's a wonderful juxtaposition.
Yes.
The song goes on to, second stage is out. We're now in orbit, so he's in space now. Stabilizers up and running perfect. Starting to collect requested data. What will it affect when all is done, thinks Major Tom. So the first time he's speaking, in the song, he's saying, send me up a drink. He's joking. He's trying to relax, right? But then once he's in orbit, he's all of a sudden a heck of a lot more rueful. What will it affect when all is done? Like, you're a man in space. You're orbiting the Earth right now. I think it's going to affect an awful lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that he feels so kind of like helpless or useless up there.
Yeah, what's going through your mind, dude? Come on.
I don't know. It goes on to say, back at ground control, there is a problem. Go to rockets full, not responding. And then ground control. Hello, Major Tom. Are you receiving? Turn the thrusters on. We're standing by. There's no reply.
There's no reply.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And then we don't need to hear Dianne sing again. You got it.
Across the stratosphere, a final message. Give my wife my love, then nothing more. For beneath the ship, the world is mourning. They don't realize he's alive. No one understands, but Major Tom sees. Now the light commands. This is my home. I'm coming home. So I think this one's a bit more explicit. Like, that certainly sounds to me like Major Tom did sabotage his mission.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, for sure. I think what this is about, I think you can take the Major Tom story as being about escaping yourself. I think it's like you say, it's a drug trip, but I think the larger message is that here's a guy, a spaceman, who had this very unique opportunity for the most dramatic death that anybody has ever had. Like, not to be too grim. Let's not think of it as being grim. Let's think of it as taking a great big bong rip. Great big bong rip. I think what the songwriters are saying is that Major Tom had this opportunity. Like, everybody who's on Earth now everybody who's ever lived has died or will die. And you're going to be cremated, or you're going to be buried, or you're going to be flung into the sea. But nobody's spinning around in the void. Like, nobody gets to cross from this life to the next in the stars and then stay in the stars. Like, it's a very romantic opportunity that I think a certain type of man might actually seize. That they might actually, like, open the capsule door and just go, it's not going to get any better than this. Like, this is the peak moment of my life. I'm on a spacewalk. It's only going to get worse for me. I might as well let myself go.
Do you know who inspired that
No.
thought? You, Ben Mowbray. This is something you would do.
That's probably why I'll never get launched into space.
Do you know, the audience doesn't know this, almost guaranteed every time you've spent a night out with Ben Mowbray, when we were allowed to do that, be it a party, at a bar, whatever, he does the famous, oh God, what do you call it? Irish goodbye? The
Irish
ninja?
goodbye.
Everybody's having a great time, and then at one moment you look around and you're like, fucking Ben Mowbray. He just left. He never says goodbye to anybody. He just bails.
It's not deliberate. I'm just watching over myself. It's entirely, I mean, of course it's an Irish goodbye, so it's totally to do with whiskey content. I get to a point where I'm just like, nope, my mood is turning sour. I've got to get off the streets, and that's it. I'm straight home, go to bed.
But I could also see you having a dramatic ending to your life like this. A very poetic Ben exit of his own life.
I'll be studying on an exit strategy. Got to figure out a way to get out of here with a bang.
Yeah, it's the best closer.
This is his opportunity to do something great, like not just the spacewalk, not just the science. It's his chance to get out there and be the first person from planet Earth not to die and remain on planet Earth. Like he gets to be in that. He gets to like literally detach himself from this mortal coil, which is what you're trying to do when you're doing drugs.
Yes.
Like it's definitely that sort of thing. And it's also, but the third song that I want to get into is, and I didn't believe it when I first started like kind of looking into it. Like I thought, there's similar songs about similar things, but I didn't think that they were as closely tied together as I now believe that they are. And of course, it's Rocket Man by Elton John.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I was like, oh no, I don't think so. And then I printed out the lyrics and I was like, oh, he's talking exactly about Bowie's song.
It's 100%. Like he doesn't specifically say Major Tom in this, but it's, I mean, what year did Rocket Man come out? I guess like 72, 74.
It's 72. Yeah.
Yeah. So only, 3 years after Bowie released Space Oddity, which obviously is a huge big hit. So there's no doubt that this is on, I guess, Bernie Taupin's mind as he's penning these lyrics.
Well, Rocket and also Man. I think I've heard that Bowie would call this out during his concerts sometimes. Like in the future, he would call out Rocket Man,
really?
or vice versa. It was one of those in the research that like they were nodding to each other. They both were very much aware.
Yeah, it's too bad. I wonder if they ever played a live show together. I mean, I would love it if there was a Space Oddity Rocket Man mashup somewhere out there in the universe.
I love that we should take this opportunity to mention. I hope everybody understands at this point that we do not know everything about music. In fact, we know very little. And what this podcast is supposed to represent is just two friends hanging out at a bar who don't know anything, breaking shit down over some beers, and coming up with horrible misunderstandings of what it means to them. So if there's people out here that know these answers that are just angry, great. That's awesome. We don't
Come sit in with us someday.
Write in, tell your friends. We just represent the idiots talking about these songs at the bar. It's supposed to be fun that way.
Rocket Man is great to me, like in the scope of Major Tom, because both Space Oddity and Major Tom reference Major Tom's wife. Like right. the one thing that we know about Major Tom's life is that he's married, that he's a family guy. He's leaving somebody behind. It seems to be what these songs are about, is the act of leaving something behind. So he says, give my wife my love, or tell my wife I love her very much. He's obviously leaving behind somebody that he loves. So this is not a decision that he's taking lightly. Right. He's absolutely, and I think that's what Bernie Taupin is writing about in Rocket Man, because he opens with the wife, right? The first line of Rocket Man is, "She packed my bags last night, pre-flight, 0 hour, 9 a.m. So like, even as he's, I kind of picture him, like going to the spaceport, or going up on the, on the great big lift, and the last thing that he's thinking of is she packed my bags last night, pre-flight. Yep. Like this woman that I'm leaving behind took care of me. She packed my bags last night, 0 hour, 9 a.m., and I'm going to be high as a kite by then. Obviously, another drug reference.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for, what's the guy's name that writes Elton songs? You just said it.
Bernie Taupin.
Yeah, like, thank you so much for understanding immediately where Bowie was with this song. Yeah. Great line.
I miss the Earth so much, I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space on such a timeless flight. So this song actually kind of skips over the drama of the launch or the drama of the space flight, and just like he's just missing his wife, and now he's in space. And then he says, and I think it's going to be a long, long time. And this is what really, like, once you start thinking of it as Major Tom, it kind of changes the verse a little bit. It says, I think it's going to be a long, long time till touchdown brings me around again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no, no, no. I'm a rocket man burning out his fuse up here alone. So this is like, he's literally saying like, what I came up to do. Like,
yeah.
I want to go back.
This is where I belong. This is where I want to be.
I don't want to be that guy anymore. Like, I want to be the rocket man. I want to be, he literally came up here to burn out his fuse, right?
Yep.
And he kind of gets even more rueful. Mars ain't the kind of place to raise your kid. In fact, it's cold as hell. And there's no one there to raise them if you did. So he's gone into space and he's lost himself.
Yeah.
Like, if he says Mars ain't the kind of place to raise it. Well, if you brought your kids up there to Mars, there is somebody there to raise them. You're there. I think what the song is saying is that no, like, he went into space and he's lost himself. He's in the void. This is where he wants to be, and he doesn't want anybody else around him.
Yeah, it made me think of that line. I think it's a White Stripes song there, and there's no home for you here, girl, go away. I feel like that's where his mind is now. He's like, nah, I live here now. I'm sorry, I miss you guys, but yeah, this is mine. This is mine.
Mm-hmm. And he says, all the science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days a week. Like, you're a fucking astronaut, for God's sake. You're among the very precious few people who have escaped Earth's gravity to get out there and see what's happening. And he's just like, it's just my job. It's just what I do 5 days a week. Like, you got to be kidding me. You're an astronaut. That is a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour job. And he's absolutely dismissing it. And then the song ends with repeating, I think it's going to be a long, long time. I think it's going to be a long, long time. That's no accident either, because his plan is that he is going to sail across the void of space for all eternity.
Yeah.
He's going to be vacuum sealed in his astronaut suit. If anybody, any alien cultures or anything else finds him, he's going to be the first human that they encounter. And that's what he's decided.
Yep.
He wants his life to do.
Burn out his fuse up there alone.
Like, he literally got so high that he can't calm down. Isn't that the goal of anyone who's ever taken drugs?
Yeah, unless you have a really bad trip like I've had, and I'm like, please come down. Please come down. God, please let me come down.
That's what the whiskey is for, man. You need the emergency whiskey bottle. You can't do so many drugs that it can't be overcome by a full pint of whiskey. It will put you to sleep. You may not feel good about it when you wake up, but it will put you down.
So the other songs, well, I have a timeline written here of basically Major Tom's life to his death. So in 1969, Space Oddity came out, and that's where we are birthed Major Tom. 1972, Rocket Man comes out. 1980, Ashes to Ashes comes out, which is another Bowie song where he talks about Major Tom. And he doesn't talk about him a lot, but from what we understand is that Ground Control just comes to the conclusion that Major Tom is a junkie.
Mm-hmm. Or it's David Bowie again, reflecting on it, because Major Tom, I think, becomes like the character that Bowie's known for. Like, obviously, he's the man who fell to Earth. He's Ziggy Stardust. He's Hello Space Boy.
Yeah.
Like, he's I think there's been a couple of times in his career it looks like that he's looked back and tried to change what his first real character's story arc is.
Right. So, okay, we have Ashes to Ashes in 1980. 1983 is when we get Peter Schilling's Major Tom. And then 1995, like you just said, is Hello Space Boy. And I don't know, are there any lyrics in there we should discuss in Hello Space Boy, or he's just talking about him again? Don't you want to be free?
Well, he gets into the David Bowie thing, in the chorus. It's central to the identity that we know as Bowie. The lyrics are, do you like girls or boys? It's confusing these days, but moon dust will cover you. So It's almost, in a weird way, it's almost like David Bowie is saying goodbye to himself, in a couple of different things. Because in the Black Star video, and Black Star famously came out like 2 days before Bowie passed.
Right.
And it's obvious that he was, looking back on his life and reflecting and leaving behind, one last document. In the Black Star video, there's an astronaut, in space that has obviously died there. And there's these like alien creatures that sort of like treat his helmet as if it's, some kind of like holy relic.
Yeah, like a shrine or something. Yeah, I haven't seen the video in a while, but yeah, I remember that.
That is not a pleasant thing to watch while you're high on drugs. I'll tell you that.
I remember having a hard time watching it right when it happened, and when Bowie died, I was like, this is painful.
It's impossible not to. Like, this is absolutely heartbreaking. Like, I don't remember a world without David Bowie. I don't remember the first time that I was kind of due. I remember the first time I was introduced to him. Now that I think about it.
What was yours? I'll tell you mine. What was yours?
Oh, it kind of came late. Like, I always knew that there was a guy called David Bowie, and I knew, some of his songs. I knew, like, Let's Dance and stuff. My mom was a big David Bowie fan, but this is the one gripe I have with my mom and dad. They threw away all their cool albums. So, like, when I was in high school, like 17, 18 years old, and I started bringing home, David Bowie and Lou Reed and guys like that, I would be playing it loud in my room, and then knock on the door and be like, is this Bowie? I used to have this album. And they're like, why? Why didn't you still have that album? Like, they had this cabinet that was just full of records, and it was all things like Rod Stewart and Supertramp.
They weren't collectors, I guess, huh?
No, like I asked him about it. Like when I was like, well, why, how come we don't have, Rolling Stones albums or where are your Beatles albums? And they told me just like, well, all those songs are about, sex and drugs. And we were trying to raise 4 young kids who didn't want that to influence you in any way.
Man.
And I was so like, oh, I could have been cool. I could have been raised on Bowie instead of Rod Stewart. I'll take it. I still like it.
There's a whole Patton Oswalt joke based on all of this you just said. We won't go into it, but if you know it, I'll tell it to you later.
Oh, I gotta hear it. Where were we? What were we
Black Star.
When I first met Bowie, the first time the first time it occurred to me that the first time I sort of really realized who Bowie was after Kurt Cobain had died. He did The Man Who Sold the World on Nirvana Unplugged, and then after that, I think it was the following MTV Video Music Awards where David Bowie came on as sort of like a eulogy to Kurt Cobain. He did The Man Who Sold the World. Right. It was really iconic because it's just Bowie in a trench coat and he's backlit and he doesn't even move a muscle. Like he's just dead stock still in the center of the stage and just powerful. Just that voice, absolutely haunting. I think, holy crap, who is that guy?
Well, my Bowie experience, I think he was all like the same with you. He was always just kind of around in the background. And I probably saw the Dancing in the Streets video first without making a connection. But where I connected to Bowie for the first time was Labyrinth.
Yeah.
That was my favorite movie. And it was the first time I didn't know how to vocalize it, but it was the first time I kind of understood androgyny because he was handsome and beautiful at the same time. And I was attracted to both.
Yeah. I think Labyrinth is very big in women about our age. Like everybody has a crush on David. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but there was a point in my childhood where I didn't know there was a difference between David Bowie and Sting.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
But it was just from movies because Sting is in Dune, which was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, and Labyrinth was it wasn't my favorite movie, but I watched Dune over and over and over again, and I thought Sting and the Labyrinth Master were the same guy.
I can easily see that getting confused in a child's mind for sure.
Mm-hmm. And they both had pretty dramatic cod pieces, so I think that was probably part of it as well.
Dianne noticed. Little Dianne noticed.
It's a celebration of cod pieces. Dancing in the Street is great. I love the relationship between Mick and David Bowie over the years. I was doing a little bit of research on this. I read a story about when Guns N' Roses was just starting to get big, when they were sort of like this growing entity within the music world. I think even before Appetite for Destruction was released, Axl was dating, I forget her name, but it wasn't a model whose name I recognized, but apparently she was crazy hot and an LA party girl. And
it's not Bowie, Stephanie Seymour?
It wasn't Stephanie Seymour.
Oh, okay.
I think this was before he started dating Stephanie Seymour.
Okay.
But David Bowie and Axl are apparently like hanging out in the studio or something like that, and Bowie starts hitting on Axl's girl. So here's Axl, like 25 years old or however old he was. He's not a rock star yet. Appetite for Destruction doesn't come out, and then here's David Bowie hitting on his girl, and apparently he just got like just crazy upset and wanted to fight Bowie, and apparently like punches were exchanged or whatever, and they had to be separated. So it ripples through the music world, and that's when the grandfathers have to step in and try to like cure this generational rift. So Mick and Eric Clapton pay Axl Rose a visit to like talk him off the ledge, just like, here's the deal. Yeah, that's what David Bowie does. David Bowie likes to fuck your girl. He did it to me. He did it to me dozens of times. It's nothing. It's just, it's like you're being welcomed into the club when David Bowie tried to sleep with your girl.
Oh my gosh, what a scenario. That's amazing. I hope that's true. Tell me this is all
apparently really it is a true story. Like, I don't know if I told it entirely correctly, but yeah, it is a true story. But it made me think, like, that's the difference between me and Axl Rose, because like if David Bowie wanted to sleep with my girlfriend, I'd be like, I think you better go sleep with David Bowie. Like, go do what the man's asking you to do. And take good notes. I want every detail. If he doesn't allow cameras, you better learn how to paint.
Well, I just made the connection. I wonder in Welcome to the Jungle, which was like the first introduction to Axl Rose to the whole world. his haircut looks exactly like David Bowie's in Labyrinth.
Oh, I wonder if that is.
It's all big and like teased up right in the front. We'll have to put those side by side on the Instagram.
That could absolutely be a clapback.
I wonder if that's purposeful. That's wonderful. What a great story.
I wish it was mine.
There's one song that we skipped in the timeline, so I'll just say it. So after 1995's Hello Space Boy, in 2003, Kia, and I forgot, that's the initials of her name, first, middle, and last name, and I forgot what they were. Anyway, she wrote a song from his wife's perspective, and it's called Miss Major Tom. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I didn't know it until today. But it's actually a very beautiful song, and Sheryl Crow did an even better cover version of it on in 2011 on William Shatner's Seeking Major Tom album, which is an album about just space-themed songs. But it's really beautiful. You guys should check it out.
Has to be amazing. I need to listen to it. But that, like, I was kind of thinking, because obviously there's a real heartbreak in this story. Like, we're just dealing with Major Tom and Major Tom's wants and desires. And I think, he wants to be the guy who never returns to Earth. He wants to be the guy who gets so high he never comes down. He wants to be. That's the great thing about this song, is it's like this is sort of how I experience music. Like, I don't go to concerts, I don't dance, I don't, but I do, put on the headphones and then float around in my own little tin can.
Right.
That's what I like about it. It's just like, no, I'm just going to ride the emotions. I'm going to feel it. And I can kind of connect to Major Tom in that way, because that's what I would like to do. Like, I would like, if I could live in a moment forever, it would be that. It would be listening to my favorite music with nothing bothering me. Having had exactly 3.5 whiskeys so that I can still feel things, but still opened up to it. Like, that would be that's how I want to go. Like, it makes sense to me. That's how Major Tom wants to go. But anytime you're doing drugs or drinking, you're trying to escape yourself. You're trying to get away from your life. And what is Major Tom trying to get away? He's not trying to get away from his wife, but that's what he's doing.
Right. And you also are trying to find get trapped in that euphoric part of the drug or the drinking, where you just hit that perfect sweet spot and you just want to stay there.
Yeah. And that's chasing the dragon. Like, it's impossible to stay there. Like, the morning is coming. It's coming for everybody. And I was thinking, so there must be, like, of all of the, of all the lady breakup songs, my man done run off and left me. Like, which one is the one that Major Tom's wife would sing? And the best one I could come up with was "Stay" by Shakespeare's sister.
Do you think enough people know that? I loved that song. Do you know one of the girls in that was from Bananarama?
I didn't.
Yeah,
really?
It's crazy. I can't remember which one, but yes, I loved that song, and the video was crazy. It was good. So if you want to remind them of some of the lyrics of "Stay,"
we need to do a whole episode on 80s girl bands.
I know.
The first lyric in "Stay" by Shakespeare's sister is, "If this world is wearing thin and you're thinking of escape, I'll go anywhere with you. Just wrap me up in chains. But if you try to go alone, I don't think I'll understand." And then the chorus to that song is, of course, there's a big mood change. Like, it's kind of
mad.
Like she gets super pissed. Like, when the chorus comes around, it's just, "You better hope and pray that you wake up safe in your own world."
She don't fucking kick your ass.
Exactly. Like, how dare you float around in the void of space without me? Like, what was so wrong with me that you had to leave the planet?
Yep. And when you sleep at night, they don't hear your cries back in your own world. Only time will tell if you can break the spell. I don't have the lyrics in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Back in your own world. Yeah, she gets mad. Oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. Like, now I'm thinking back on that video and that song. We got to do research on that. Was this a specific song to Space Oddity?
I don't think so.
No?
I think so. But the parallels are there. Like, it lines up perfectly. I think it's just a trippy thought.
Well, I like it.
Hey, that's out there in the universe, man.
Well, another kind of lame song that kind of works in the same vein is "Drops of Jupiter" by Train.
Oh, yeah. Drops of Jupiter, yay!
Did you miss me while you were looking for yourself out there? Yep. Now that he's back in the atmosphere, yeah, that whole song sounds like the pissed off girlfriend of Major Tom.
This is total name dropping. I feel like a horrible prick because of it, but whatever. That's kind of what I am sometimes. years and years ago in another lifetime, I was like I was the MC at the Laugh Stop, and I was taking the headliner who was Mark Maron, like a pre-famous Mark Maron. This would have been like 2002 or 2003, somewhere around whenever Drops of Jupiter was a big hit. So you go to the radio station and there's just a big picture of train like on the wall, and Maron just like what now is just like the classic Maron. He just looks at him, just immediately sizes him up, and just goes, "Man, look in these guys' eyes." Like you can almost hear him saying like, "This has to work. This is our last chance. One last go around here."
That's great. Love you, Maron.
Hmm.
Oh, I had a little fun fact, something I just didn't know. Pop quiz. Do you know David Bowie's birth name?
David Jones.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I only know that because his son I think his name is Duncan Jones, and he's a movie director. He directed Moon, a Sam Rockwell movie.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I love that movie. I've got a friend who just totally dismisses it. He's like, "No, it's like a 2.5 hour long Twilight Zone episode." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's also a 2.5 hour long Twilight Zone episode."
What's your beef with Twilight Zone?
Schweit weiter. I'm sorry, I told you I can't help myself.
Oh my gosh. The German version of Peter Schilling's Major Tom is hard. Any song in German is hard. 99 Luftballons.
That's another one we're going to have to do. 99 Luftballons.
Yes, we will definitely do that. That song is seeping in imagery. It's so good.
I'll look it up. But yeah, I think Major Tom is best thought of as like an allegory for what happens when you get too high. What happens when you want to see too much, do too little, and what happens when you want to escape yourself. Another
little piece of just side note history is that the British television wanted to play the song while showing the moon landing, and Bowie was like, okay, the song doesn't end well. Are you sure you want to do this? Have you listened to the lyrics of the song?
Yeah, what do like the astronauts from Apollo 13? Do you think they ever listened to Space Oddity? Probably not. There's nothing funny or warm about this. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasures.
I do. Hold on. I'm going to, just to set it up, since we're on Zoom and you can change your backgrounds, I'm going to change my virtual background to give you a hint.
Oh, the beach, the rolling waves.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a little thing called yacht rock, Ben?
Yes, I have. And I hate it with all of my black little heart. I hate it. I don't like it ironically. And anybody who likes it ironically, my hatred extends to them as well. Like I've seen so many like bars and restaurants are like, "We're having yacht rock night." And it's like, that's terrible. It's a horrible thing to do. Like I don't like it when people appreciate things ironically. Like either like it or don't like it. Have some courage.
Well, that being said, I don't know what it is about this song. I think it's considered yacht rock. It's definitely considered like in the same vein as Jimmy Buffett, which I actually think I thought Jimmy Buffett sang this song, but he does not. The song I like is by Rupert Holmes, and it's called Escape, the Pina Colada song. If you like pina coladas.
I'm getting caught in the rain.
I don't love the song, but if it comes on in the car, I'm not going to change the station either, and I'm going to sing it till the end, and then I'll change the station.
If you like making love at midnight.
I just love the story behind it. Like, it's this couple, and they're both sick of each other, and one puts out an ad seeking someone else. Like, these are the things I like and don't like, and the person who answers the ad is their significant other, which is funny and awesome.
Yeah, maybe Major Tom wouldn't be spinning around in the heavens if he'd taken out a personal ad instead of trying to escape if he just found himself back here on the planet.
Yeah, right? All right, Ben, what about you? Lean a little closer. You're leaning back. Get to the mic.
I'm sorry. All right, my guilty pleasure song is "Holding Back the Years." Do you know that song? It's a wonderful song. It's a lovely, lovely tune, but it's a guilty pleasure song for me because it's such a softy song. It's holding back. I think it's Simply Red.
Simply Red. I love Simply Red.
Holding back the years. There's something about that song that speaks pretty specifically to a kind of pain or longing that I wouldn't want a guy that I'm trying to throw out of the bar to know about. You know what I mean? Like, that's why it's a guilty pleasure song for me. It's like, no, that's right in my heart somewhere.
Yeah, he's got a very smooth, wonderful voice, and I like when he starts yelling. I like anybody that starts yelling when he's like, holding, holding, holding. That's a great song. I don't even think that's a guilty pleasure song. That's just a pleasure song.
It's nostalgia and heartbreak all rolled up.
Guilty pleasures.
Well, that's Major Tom. You feel good about it?
I do. I feel great about it. I want to right now, we haven't cut it in yet, but I know by the time this is released, I will have cut in some wonderful guitar bumpers. And so we would like to say special thanks to our friend Chuck Savage for the guitar bumpers we used in this episode. I'm going to do a little brag and a little name drop ourselves for a second. Chuck is another alumni comedian from Houston, and if you've ever listened to Mitch Hedberg's album Strategic Grill Locations, which was recorded at the historic Laugh Stop Comedy Club in Houston on September 7th, 1999, that's our buddy Chuck playing the bass in the background. And Chuck is our friend, and he did some of the music for this episode, and he loves us, and is going to be nice enough to do a lot more music for us in the future. Hopefully a new intro theme song, which we desperately need.
Thank you, Chuck. Great guy, great musician.
Thank you, Chuck. That's a wrap on this week's episode of Rock the Cash Bar. Tune in every Monday to find out the new song of the week. Send us an email at rockthecashbarpodcast@gmail.com and tell us your personal misheard lyrics so we can read them on the podcast. You can also reach us at Twitter and Instagram at Rock the Cash Bar Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcast or wherever this podcast was downloaded.